My name is Allison, and I'm 29 years old. If you had asked me a few years ago to describe my life, I would have said that I was the quiet one in the family, the one who always went along with whatever was asked of me. I had spent my life blending into the background, quietly supporting everyone else, always the one who would make sure others were comfortable. But what I didn't realize at the time was that, in the process, I was erasing myself. I was letting people treat me like a doormat. And that night, at my sister's birthday dinner, I finally decided that enough was enough. Growing up, my sister Jenny and I were incredibly close. We were the kind of siblings who would bicker and argue one minute, but be thick as thieves the next. As we got older, though, life took us down different paths. Jenny married Darren when she was just 23. They had 3 kids together, and from the outside, their life seemed picture perfect. But as anyone who's been in a complicated family situation knows, appearances can be deceiving. A year ago, everything came crashing down when it was revealed that Darren had been involved in a massive financial fraud scheme. The scandal rocked our entire family. Jenny was devastated, and she spent months in denial before she eventually confronted Darren. Their marriage was hanging by a thread. In the aftermath, I found myself trying to be there for Jenny, despite all the emotional baggage she was carrying. I wanted to be the supportive sister she'd always been to me, but it wasn't easy. Jenny was grappling with shame and betrayal, while I was trying to navigate my own feelings about Darren. To make matters worse, I had spent years being dismissed and belittled by him. He had always treated me like I was invisible, like my opinions didn't matter. It wasn't just his actions, it was his constant smugness that got under my skin, his smirk that would flare whenever I tried to speak up or contribute to the conversation. For years, I put up with it. I was the quiet one, the one who would let things slide. But that night, I couldn't pretend anymore. It was my sister's birthday dinner, and she had invited the entire family to celebrate. I arrived at the house, greeted by hugs from my parents and the usual small talk from my relatives. As we walked into the dining room, I saw the seating arrangements. The adults were gathered around the main table, a few empty chairs sprinkled here and there. And then, I noticed the kids' table in the corner. My eyes instinctively scanned the room for my place, only to find that there was no seat set for me at the adult table. I stood frozen for a moment, confused. Jenny and Darren had always known that I was close to them, yet here I was, suddenly being placed at the kids' table, again. My stomach churned with frustration. I wasn't a child anymore. I hadn't been for a long time. The plate had already been set at the kids' table, but there was nothing prepared for me at the adult table. I could feel Darren's gaze on me before I even looked in his direction. He was standing in the corner of the room, his arms crossed, watching me intently. A smirk played at the edges of his lips, as if he found something amusing in my discomfort. He was used to my silence, to the way I would swallow my pride and quietly accept whatever was handed to me. But this time, something inside me snapped. I wasn't going to let this moment pass without standing up for myself. I walked over to the kids' table, but instead of sitting down quietly like I usually would have, I paused. I could feel my heart racing, but my mind was clear. I was done being the invisible sister. I was done with Darren's smirk, his condescending attitude, and the way Jenny had allowed it all to happen. I wasn't going to be the one who always put others before myself. Not anymore. Without saying a word to anyone, I calmly stood up and walked over to the adult table. I pulled out an empty chair and sat down. The room went silent for a moment, and I could feel all eyes on me. Jenny, who had been at the head of the table, looked up in surprise. Darren's smirk faltered, and I could see the discomfort in his eyes. He wasn't used to this version of me, the one who no longer allowed herself to be overlooked. I wasn't angry, I wasn't shouting, I was simply asserting myself in a way I never had before. I didn't wait for anyone to say anything. I just sat there, calmly, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I could feel the tension in the room, but I wasn't going to let it faze me. For once, I wasn't going to apologize for taking up space. Jenny finally broke the silence. "Allison, are you sure you want to sit here?" she asked, her voice gentle but tinged with uncertainty. She had always been the one who cared for everyone else, and I think she was surprised by the change in me. "I'm sure," I replied, my voice steady. "I'm not a child anymore, Jenny. I deserve to be here, too." Darren didn't say anything. He just stood there, his face a mixture of confusion and frustration. For a brief moment, I wondered if he was going to say something snide, but he didn't. He simply looked away, avoiding my gaze. It was a small victory, but a significant one. The dinner continued, and the evening unfolded in a way I hadn't expected. Jenny and I had a quiet conversation about the things that had happened in our lives, the emotional toll her marriage had taken on both of us. We talked about how we had lost touch, about how I had always been there for her but had never truly been seen. I told her about how I had allowed myself to be belittled and ignored, but I had learned that I wasn't just the quiet sister anymore. I was someone worthy of respect. Jenny listened, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like she truly understood. She apologized for not noticing sooner. She apologized for letting Darren treat me the way he did. It wasn't an easy conversation, but it was a necessary one. The rest of the evening passed quietly. I didn't seek revenge on Darren. I didn't try to make him feel small. The best revenge, I realized, wasn't about humiliating him or making him regret his actions. It was about reclaiming my own power. It was about setting boundaries and taking control of my life. That night, I learned a powerful lesson: the sweetest revenge isn't revenge at all. It's reclaiming your dignity. It's about walking away from toxic behavior, standing tall in your own truth, and allowing your relationships to evolve on your own terms. I didn't need Darren to apologize. I didn't need him to suffer consequences for his actions. My real redemption came from me. And in that moment, I knew that no matter what happened in the future, I had finally found my voice.